good evening, and welcome to the second edition of the Bearded Tyke. Joined by Dan again from the BFC Research Group. Thanks for joining me again, Dan.
No problem, mate. Pleasure.
Not letting me fly solo again. So, just thought we'd do a review of the Stockport game yesterday. I ended up actually going. I weren't going to be going, but when Barnsley put out the thing online to say that there were a few tickets left, my son didn't have a game. It got cancelled, so last minute rung them up, managed to get some Friday, so I managed to get to the game. So really pleased end up getting to go because I've not done Stockport, and when they actually came up, I really wanted to go. And it was same last season. Oscar had a game on a Saturday, and it was an AF12 kick-off last year as well, wasn't it, when we played them away? And we got beat with that one, but it wasn't that I wanted to tick off. But yeah, it were an interesting little ground. It'll look good when it's finished.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Just a
I
bit
don't know
of
about you. Go on, sorry.
just a
Go
bit
on, Dan.
of a comedy one, mate. I got speaking to a Stockport fan on way back to Manchester.
Yeah.
As all getting train back from Manchester, and he said, and I can't believe any of ours didn't pick up on this. Must not be a fan of the show, but when they first opened it, they called it Bake Off Tent. And everybody were tweeting it. Everybody were tweeting, "Oh yeah, it looks like Bake Off Tent." Having a laugh on Twitter.
He does
And,
actually.
and apparently, first game it were open to away supporters. They were handing out cakes for free.
That's
So
brilliant.
kind of club had picked up on joke, which I found quite funny. Just a bit of an
That's cool.
anecdote for to start show off, I suppose. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It were, yeah. I mean, it was so because it was such a wet day, wasn't it, as well? So
it
where I was
was.
stood on terracing, floor were absolutely wet through, just puddles. So I got some sambas on, and it had soaked through sponge in thing, and then it eventually started soaking all the way through suede. And by the time I ended the game, my feet were absolutely piss wet through. But
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah,
But yeah, and I mean, literally no room at all, was there, between front, between seats. It's
yeah.
tightly compact. It was an interesting setup. But anyway,
It
we'll
were an
move on to the
interesting
game.
setup.
So the game itself, probably fair to say, it was definitely a game of two halves. What were your take on it, Dan?
Well, I mean, you know me, Ryan. I don't like using crap old cliches, but it was literally a game of two halves. It
It
was.
really was.
That's yeah. I mean, the game. I think line up. Fairly. I mean, we put the Givney in there. And were Earl injured or were he suspended? No one quite
Injured, mate.
injured.
Injured.
So
Yeah.
we put Dijavigny in there. He did fairly all right, and then, but line up couldn't really disagree with it. We
Yeah.
started, I think we started getting well, not in the sense of really trying to get up front foot, but playing very similar to what we did against Luton. Letting it come to us. We winning it middle at park, trying to hit them on break that way.
Yeah.
It was successful. We picked up on their mistake and obviously went 1-0 up. Good goal again by Vimmel, getting him sent in there and poking it away. And then obviously second half, I think one of their big changes were putting Osborne on, putting another midfield in there, a midfielder on. He seemed a fantastic addition to their team. Sorry. And I think after that, I think we sort of struggled a little
Yeah.
bit to kind of adapt. We seemed to be doing okay, soaking up pressure. Um, and then, unfortunately, I think when Cleary went off, and I think it were just a slight criticism. I mean, it's slight. We can all say it in hindsight now. You
Yeah.
know, I think what we decided to do was change the shape,
Yeah.
which you can see the reasoning behind. But I think it put us too far on back foot, and it were a matter of
Yeah.
time there. And unfortunately, Stockport got goal back. But like I said the same to you, Ryan. After the match, I would have taken a point before the match. Okay,
Yeah. Of course.
circumstances obviously they dictate that we might be feeling like it's 2 points dropped. But more and more time after the match, I kind of felt like it was a fair result. It was a good result. and we've just got to move on to next week, move on to next game, and hopefully we can just iron out those errors that we made. But I didn't think there were many,
Yeah.
if I'm quite honest with you, Ryan.
I don't think there was. I mean, like I said, I largely agree with you, mate. I think that, first half we come out and we played some nice football, played some really nice football. I read some stuff online about it, but a complete shutout against for Stockport. I don't think it was Stockport early on. That number 10, that right winger for them, he
Oh,
got
he's
man at match.
amazing.
Rightly so. What a player, man! He
Yeah,
absolutely he had MDG wrapped up in knots, didn't he? Just tied him up. And even when we put even when Alberta come on, we put a back five. He was still managing to get balls into the box and still running them ragged. He had a superb performance. He really stood out. Sorry, I don't know his name at number 10, but he was fantastic. And they had them where he had a couple of chances where he put ball over, and they had a clear header that they put over. And then they had the one where Nathan Lowe rolled MDG, didn't he? He rolled him, he dropped his shoulder and rolled him, and he managed to get a shot, but he blazed it over at bar.
yeah.
So I don't think it was a complete shutout, I'd say. But I
No.
think largely in first half we were on top. I thought the goal were again really sharp up front. Defending from the front. Capitalising on a poor ball out by keeper and picking it up. Patrick Kelly's laid it in, and again Ray's Cleary getting another goal contribution. But lovely finish from Vimal. Sliding in, putting it in. I thought, and it was a well deserved lead.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I thought it was a really well-deserved lead, and we still continue to play. We were on front foot all first half. That's what's a little bit frustrating, I suppose. But in first half, I thought we were on front foot, and then again we capitalised on a poor error in them not knocking it about back, and I think that's where it should have been 2-0 and potentially game over. You don't know because you don't know how they're going to come out at 2-0, but I think it'd certainly put us on a much better footing going into the second half with them two chances where. Maybe when DKD's taking that shot, it was a bit of a tighter angle. He could have laid it in because keeper were well out of his goal.
Yeah.
But I have to say, it were two good saves by their keeper. I can't say much against Patrick Kelly. He's gone for corner. When it's come back out to him, he's gone for corner. It's just keeper happened to be there.
Yeah.
So he's done that thing by going for corner, and keeper just happened to be there, and he's managed to save it. So.
Yeah.
So overall, mate, I was really happy at half time. I thought we bossed it. We reduced their chances. We made them look a little bit like they were didn't know what they were doing, kind of stuff. And then into the second half, it was just completely night and day difference performance. Like you say, Dave. Kudos to Dave Challoner putting the extra midfielder in there, changing things up, and I think he made it. They made it a lot more difficult for us. Stockport were always going to have to come at us in second half. They were 1-0 down. They'd had by their standards, a poor first half performance.
Yeah.
They'd have obviously had the logos rattled at half time by Challoner.
Probably.
And they're going to have to come out in second half and put it on us. So it were you were always going to be a bit different. I just think we were too deep. I kept saying to our Aussie, we're too deep. We're sat too deep. We didn't want to push on like we did in first half. And I don't know if that were tactical or whether it were the fact that Stockport had found a different gear, or whether it was a combination of both. We sat too deep. What I will say is, largely, for most of it, we defended really well. I thought Robbo and Shep were absolutely superb. I thought especially they just won everything. They were winning everything. And eventually it come and cost us in end. But again, it was just you could see from about 65, 70 minutes, certainly by 70 minutes. Patrick Kelly and certainly Vimal were on the chin strap.
Yeah.
They were absolutely on the chin strap. They'd lost all the pace in game. They were absolutely knackered. And for me, that would point to bring someone like John Russell on. I know he ended up bringing MDG on, but someone that's can play that CDM role, that more big defensive one, just shore it up. Same as putting someone like Farrugia, who might not be the best going forward, but he's a big unit, and just someone just to shore it up there, and then if you're going to take Cleary off, stick Vickers on.
Yeah.
It was just that change of shape and going to a back five, and like you say, you can. If it comes off, it's a brilliant tactical move. If they manage to get an equaliser, or even worse, go and get a winner, it's a poor tactical move. So it's one of them, innit? It's a roll at dice, really, and I just think I just think we moved away from what we were doing in first half, and I mean, granted, listen, Stockport put it on us, so they didn't do the same performance as they were in first half, so they didn't allow us to play our game as much as we did in first half. But we like completely moved away from what we'd done and what had been successful. And I think we've done that a few times this season, mate. I think we've done it quite a few times this season, where we've gone out it's either first or second half's been brilliant, and it's been like that night and day from first half performance, and we just need to start sticking 90 minutes together a lot more often for me. Because I think if we'd have come out and played like we did it first half, I think I think we win that game. But like you said, Dan, end of the day, I said to you in the preview, I think a point away at Stockport is a good point. You know, at the start of last Saturday they were top at league. They'd had them 2 games where they got beat 3-0, but you know, all teams go through that. All teams go through losing. You know, Cardiff had a bit of a dodgy run. They're back at top at league. You know, Bradford, I think, are they second or third? They had the first win in 7 in league.
Yeah,
So
I think the one.
it happens. It does happen. But prior to that, they'd not lost in 7, Stockport, and they'd won 5 of those 7 games. So and they were, rightly top at league, and so they're a good side. So I think going away to Stockport and getting a point, I don't think many will come away from there with anything this season. So overall, it's a good point, in my opinion. It's just when the goal came and just the tactics in the second half that frustrated me a bit. I have to say, I'm not. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, mate.
I think. Well, it's an interesting one, Ryan, because there's a couple of points. There's a couple of points there. So, yeah, I mean, the change in the shape. It's sort of about the way that I look at it, because we sort of when we were coming out at ground, there were people understandably unhappy and stuff, and I was trying to like kind of clock into what they were saying and a bit of an earwig, and one, I mean, the one that really caught me says something about substitutions and putting more subs on. I think that can be a common criticism. It's a common criticism, and there's been times where we've both vocally criticised Orion for that, not putting subs on, whatever else. But then I'm kind of like, look at other things and look at what Stockport bought on. I mean, they bought an Osborne who's an experienced midfielder at this level. Jack Diamond they bought on as well.
Jack Hunt as well.
They bought on a. Oh, I can't remember his name. Starts with a bloody M, and I can't remember his name. And they bought on a lot of quality off at bench.
Yeah.
I can't really point to. I mean, you've only got Vickers. You know, there's Vickers. Or you can, he was dipping in and out of form as Connor dropped him, and obviously Cleary's come in and done a fantastic job. Even if he was showing well in training, I wouldn't really see Vickers replacing Cleary anytime soon.
Yeah.
But then after that, you've got Russell. We got on to really match what Stockport can the quality that Stockport can throw at us. I can't really point to anything. I can't really point to anyone that's going to come off and do that. And
yeah,
the reason why I was a bit hesitant to bring that up in preview is because this is a common problem that we're going to come across. We've spoke about quality coming off at bench.
Yeah.
And it feels like that could be a criticism every bloody game we play, pretty much, Well,
it is. It's not going to be a criticism. Connor can only play players he's got, mate. He can't magic players up. It's not FIFA where he can just sign somebody or, player manager, whatever they call it. It's not, this is real life, and he can only play the players we've got. I don't think his bench is that bad. It's certainly a lot better than it was last season, but for me, is he at the back of his mind thinking, I've got a cup game against Port Vale, I've got a cup game against Peterborough, and then I've got a big game, a really big game in league against Lincoln away, because we need to take points off Lincoln in that game.
We do.
And you sat there thinking, well, I've got this game, I've got that game, so I've got 3 games in the next 13 days. Am I saving? Is he saying it back? Something at the back of his mind, thinking these are the lads I'm going to play in cup. I need to play Vickers. I need to play Farrugia. I'm going to play John Russell. I need to play, Flav in nets. all the, probably Rooney. We're probably going to see Rooney in defence. We're probably going to see MDG play because I think hopefully Earl will be back. But it's just,
It's an
yeah,
interesting point.
it's hard when you've got the players that we do have. Most of them are decent players. Most of them are decent players. We just don't have quite enough at the moment. I think that's going to be unless we strengthen in January, as in we add and we don't let anybody go. I think it's going to be purely down to just a numbers game as opposed to quality. Because I think there's not many in that team when I look at them and think they're terrible players. Where they were last season, there were a lot of lack
Yeah,
of
the
quality. I
lot.
think we've got a
No.
lot more quality this season. We just haven't got enough of them, and I think that's what ultimately it was.
This is
But
the issue, isn't it,
yeah,
Ryan? This is the and Jo went to match where he loves all sort of stats and looking at deep, having a deep dive into players and whatever else. And he says to me, he says, you compare us to Luton. Luton have used 32 players, right, throughout their game so far this season.
yeah,
They've used 32 players.
wow,
We've used 20.
yeah. That's
20 players,
that's a
and they're
colossal
unpaid
difference.
across all
It's
competitions.
a full 11 difference, isn't it? It's a full
Yeah.
starting 11's difference.
And I would imagine that Stockport, if I'm looking at them, yeah, I know that they've had a few injury problems of late, but I reckon they'll be knocking about quite a few more than us, you know.
Yeah,
And it's difficult because I understand there's financial constraints to it, but then you've also got to balance that with where we want to be as a come end
yeah,
of season, and it's a difficult balance to strike.
yeah.
There's
We have.
no easy answer to it, and it's just going back to my original point of saying, I can only go on things that we can control right now, and the only criticism I had of him really were, okay, maybe Vickers should have come. We should have kept shape, and Vickers should have come on for Cleary.
That's what I think, mate. I just think
And
maybe and sticking John Russell in for one at midfielders,
yeah,
probably Kelly.
yeah,
Probably Kelly, something
yeah,
along those lines, and like maybe like because Jorgen Nathan looked knackered, but he's been playing more out at right as well, any a bit, as well as Kelly. There seems to be like interchange a little bit, but maybe bring Farrugia on there. But it's
yeah.
listen,
It's fine margins in it. Let's be honest,
overall,
fine margins.
yeah, absolutely, mate. And I think overall we defended really well, and actually their goal is a cracking goal, I have to say.
Mm,
Maybe Ogbe could have closed him down a little bit, but he did have a good. I think thought it were going out. The lads done well to keep it in, and maybe Luke could have got an header to it. But that's a fine finish by that Connolly. It's a really he's caught it on volley and he's swept it across. He's got a good. It's a decently tight angle, and I thought Murphy Cooper played really well. He made that good save from that deflected shot. He had to to turn his feet, get down quickly and made that good save. But largely didn't have loads to do, and apart from all the regular goalkeeping stuff, taking the
mm.
crosses, he come out and punched a few away as well. But overall, I thought we defended really well.
Yeah,
But I think like you said, the cliches, it definitely was a game of 2 hours, and I think we shake hands and we go away with a point apiece, and I think we move on. I don't think there's much negativity to come out of that game. I think most Barnsley fans, honestly, if you'd have said to them before the game, we'll take a point take a point at Stockport, I think most would have said, yeah, that'd be a good result.
yeah,
So anyway, we move on, mate. I think overall, like you said, there's probably some lessons to be learnt, but I think it's squad depth. I think that's holding us back a little bit, and hopefully we rectify that in January.
yeah.
So moving on to the Port Vale game then. So for me, Dan, I mean, I want Barnsley to win every game they go into, but I'll be honest, I'm not that arsed about this cup game. Obviously, I want us to win every game, but I mean, if I'm going to be honest, if I wanted to focus on a cup, it would be the FA Cup, because that's obviously a lot more beneficial from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
If we get into the third round and we get a bigger team, although last 2 times we've got bigger teams have probably not gone well. Conceded 13 in 2 games against Premier League teams. Maybe not the best thing for us, but money-wise, from a financial standpoint, if we could get a bigger team in that 3rd round, that the benefits come from that. Whereas the plastic, whatever, Vertu is it this year? I don't know.
It's virtual this
It's
one.
virtual this year. It's been Pizza Cup and Bristol Street Motors and Johnson's Paint when we won it in 2016 and whatever. Would it called Zenith Theatre in years gone by? No, years and years ago. I think it
So that again, mate. Sorry.
In 90, I think it used to be called Zenith Data. Zenith
I
Data
have
Trophy.
absolutely. You know what, mate?
I don't know. It's probably changed sponsor every season, mate.
I would value that tournament a lot more if they'd just stuck to putting league sides in it.
That's what's killed it, mate. That's what's
killed it. It's crap.
It's killed it since they stuck under 21 team. I mean, we won it without the under 21 teams being in it. I think that I think it disrespects the trophy. I think it belittles the trophy, as in thinking that Premier League under 21s teams can compete with League One and League One teams, which has been proven 90% of the time that they can't. They do get the odd win, but they're usually playing kids anyway. So it's not. I just think it is either scrap the competition altogether or take the under 21 teams in it. Anyway, we are going off on a tangent.
Yeah, we are going off on a tangent. Do apologise.
I'm good at that, mate. I sometimes go off on a tangent and forget what I was actually talking about in the first place. But anyway, right. So Port Vale, mate. So I shall just do what I did last time and see if I can bring up their stats. There's a lot to be said about their stats, mate, if I'm being honest. 2 seconds, pal. Let me change layout. Is it that one? Can you see that alright, mate?
Yeah, I can see that alright, mate.
Bang on. Beautiful. Right then, so bottom at league in League One. I think they're really struggling, and the biggest problem for me with Port Vale is that they're really struggling to score. They've had 9 home and away, so they're 18 in total. They've only won 3, drawn 5, lost 10. They're really struggling, mate. And a lot of it is coming from, if you look at the goals, a lot of it is coming from this. 0.61 goals per match overall at home. They've only scored 0.56 at home per game at home. It really are struggling, but they're actually the chance creation is quite high. It's one of the highest in the league. The chance creation is really up there with regards to what they class. I hate the word, but XG. But the chance creation seems to be pretty good. The problem is with that they're just not. They're not converting them, and that's what's having the knock-on effect. If you look down here, the bottom at league as well, for goals scored. 11 all season in 18 games and 21 conceded. So I think that's really where their problems are coming. I'll just come out of that, mate. Just stop sharing. That's not much else to say about it. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There we go. So I think personally, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think Port Vale are going to want to try and get back on some sort of a level a level playing field where they want to win a game, because they've no winning 7. Ironically, the last game that they lost, or last game that they won, was against us at Oakwell. They've not won in 7 since that game. They find themselves at bottom of the division. I think they're going to put a strong team out, personally, to try and get some sort of kick on and maybe win it, because they must know that we, looking at our fixture list, what we've got coming up, that we're probably going to play. I won't say a weaker team, but certainly not a full strength team. So I think we might see a strong side from Port Vale.
Yeah, they're probably going to want to use those sort of games to get confidence at players up, because I can imagine that having to go on a run of form, the confidence will be down, and they'll need to. They want something to cheer about, basically, because these can be springboard. The competitions can act as springboards to you.
Yeah.
To improving form in your league campaign. We've been there, we've seen it. I mean, when we were bottom at league at Christmas, went on that run at JPT. I remember that. I think we were bottom at league and we played Wigan away, I believe, in Johnston's Paint. Well, or Johnston's Paint back then.
Yeah.
and Armel came back, and I think we won on penalties. From him, and then after that, we managed to get a good few points on board, and it just went off like a rocket after that.
It was a springboard, wasn't it? It really was a
Yeah,
springboard.
it was. It was. It does work sometimes, and and also it's good for fans as well. I mean, it's good for fans when you can play when you can win those games, and it gives you a chance of getting to Wembley at end of season. Because when you're at bottom three. Hang on, is it four that get relegated from? Yeah, it's four that get relegated from League One, isn't it? Sorry. When you're at bottom four, it gives you something to cheer about, something to look forward to. So it gives you a bit of hope. So yeah, I'm expecting a strong side. As for us, I mean, I'm not expecting any particular. I think
we've got no choice, Dan. We've got no choice to not play a full strength time. I think there's some lads in there that probably need to rest their legs.
They're gonna rest their legs.
Yeah,
but I can see John Russell.
Sorry, Dan, go on. I'm going to say I can't stress the importance of the Lincoln game in the league. You know, that has to take precedence. It has to be classed as the most important game. You know, it's nice to have a cup run. We're not going to win a cup. We might. Well, there's a chance to win Football League Trophy, whatever it's called. But you know, the league has to be the priority. You know, I think with our smaller squad and what we touched on earlier about the squad depth is what's not crippling us, but certainly causing us some issues. What I don't want to be is out of touch. In January, about the time we get to January, we've got the opportunity to put some more numbers into the squad if the owner will dip his hand in his pocket. That remains to be seen, but you know what I don't want to be is in a position when we get to January is to be too far out of touch. I don't think we will be, but you know, certainly when we've got games like Lincoln, who are in front of us, who've played a couple more games from us, we need to take points off them.
Yeah,
you know, we've had a good run of it at their place. We'll cover the period we get closer to it, but that's got to take precedence. So I don't think there's any choice but to play a weaker squad. So that in mind, what would you say? What would you say you'd play, or would you play on Tuesday night?
Well, McGoldrich, Russell, Farrugia, probably putting him in there.
Yeah. Vickers.
I'd even go with some young lads. I mean, we haven't seen. I mean, some of the Canterbury lads. I mean, Blandy's been out. Was suspended, weren't he?
I think we might see Blandy play. I think we might see Blandy play on Tuesday night.
So we might see Blandy come in. But overall, mate, I mean, Jake Rooney, I could probably see him starting.
Yeah, Flav in goal. I think MVG will play.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to admire Connor because you know Connor did come out in an interview and he did say, you know, we've won this trophy. You know, we as when he won it as a player, and he says he does have a lot of fond memories for a trophy. But the reality is and the way football is.
Sorry there, guys. I just had to interject with an edit. Unfortunately, when I've gone to do the editing, Dan's recording, for whatever reason, stopped just at the point that we got to, and I continued talking to myself, it would appear. So I've had to delete that out and just add this bit in. We were near the end of the video anyway, so just to quickly recap what we discussed further, it was just really about what we thought the scores were going to be on now tomorrow night. We did the video last night, but say the scores will be for tomorrow night against Port Vale. So Dan thought that it's probably going to end up a draw and could well go to penalties. For myself, I think we're going to nick it 1-0. Please feel free to comment, and I think it's going to go tomorrow night. Please like, share, and subscribe where you can. And yeah, let's hope we come back with a win against Port Vale. Okay, thanks for joining us, guys. See you after.